I haven't filmed in this spot in such a long time. So I haven't been in this place for such a long time. Oh my god, just hold yourself. How the fuck did I do this before? I look so pretty. This shit. Hi, how are you? I hope you're doing okay. Please don't mind anything. The look. Recently I've done the what is it? The Twilight. The Twilight. Oh my god, I sound 85. But I kind of been on a mood to start reading the stuff that, you know, I've always watched and liked and stuff like that. There's a show that is my absolute #1 guilty pleasure. There are other shows that I like, of course, but this is like a guilty pleasure. It's bad. The plot is ridiculous, and the more you watch the ridiculousness, it becomes like it keeps getting more and more and more and more ridiculous. Even at times, it doesn't even make any sense. But I have watched and rewatched and rewatched, and I still rewatch it to this day, but I have never read the books. For the longest time, I didn't even know that they were based off of books. I'm talking about the Pretty Little Liars series, or this series. They are actually based on 16 books, and we are going to go ahead and start the PLL adventure together, my friends. I am guessing that it's going to be absolutely horrible. You are just gonna have to excuse the quality and the sound and everything. I am floored. I'm not unfamiliar with the universe, with the De Laurentises, with the plot, with I know everything. I've watched the show many times, more times than I care to admit. Thank you very much. It is a huge guilty pleasure, like I said. So I am familiar with everything, okay? I know it. Like the first seasons, I know by heart most of it. Like I know everything, and I didn't know what I was expecting with the books, but it wasn't this. It's very similar but very different at the same time, and this is gonna be spoilery because I felt like it. So if you would want to be spoiled, it's fine, okay? It's been out for like forever and no one cares about it except me. So basically the summary of the book, this is a prequel to everything that's going to happen. So this is technically not part of the series, it's a prequel, but I'm so happy I started with it. I don't know if it's gonna be mentioned. What happened in this one is going to be mentioned in the actual series or not. But in the show, we know who A is. I'm not gonna say, just in case someone doesn't know, but we know who A is. And it's a family member, right? It's a family member. So I was expecting that kind of plot, you know, but I didn't expect this. So we know we have the main girls. We have Ali, who will surely in a little bit goes missing. I don't know if it's gonna be the same in the books, but in the show she goes missing. And then we have the remaining girls, Emily, Hannah, Spencer, and Arya, who start receiving text messages from a mysterious person that calls themselves A, and they get progressively more and more serious and more dire. And this A persona like starts asking the girls to do things, yeah, and like to do things in order to save them and to not reveal their secret, which I am so excited to see if the secret is going to be the same, because the secret in the show is that Jenna, they did something that caused Jenna to be blind. Jenna is another character. Oh my god, I'm obsessed with something so stupid. But basically in the show they see her and she was having relations with her brother Toby, and because they see that, they panic, and Ali panics. Like, she wasn't expecting to see that, you know, who would have expected to see that, like when they were trying to do a normal prank. And because she sees that, she panics, and then she throws fireworks, like wrongly, I don't know, and she ends up causing the blindness thingy. And we just met Jenna in the book, and I'm so fucking excited about that. But the weird thing is, we have a new character. Her name is Courtney, and she is Ali's twin. I don't know what's gonna happen, because in the show we have a similar plot Okay, we do have a similar plot, but it's not like this. It's done differently, and in my opinion, more interestingly, because I know like the entirety of the show and what happened and all that. But just the beginning, I've only read the prequel and the first 2 chapters, and it is so interesting. We do have Rosewood, we do have the families, all the same. I'm not gonna lie, I was expecting to shit on this, like I was expecting it to be super cringe. Some parts are. It's like, it's so exciting to read. Like, I really like it. My book taste is going down the drains. I went into art school very young, and once when I would go there, I have a very interesting, I guess, live-in situation, a family situation. So when I would go there, I would go like very, very early, and I would take, the bus. It's always like constant vigilance because, I'm a lady and I get scared and stuff, but I'm also very paranoid. So there was one time where I was walking and I see a shadow like just walking behind me, and the first thing that I thought was, is this real or is it not? At the time, I was not diagnosed with BPD and psychosis, so I didn't know what the fuck is wrong with me and stuff, and I didn't have my little tricks and all that. I was just like walking and trying to like be in different places and stuff, and I know the area very, very, very well, and I would just like go in nooks and crannies and see if they would still follow me, and they did. And then I just stopped. The shadow like kept getting closer, and it did get closer, and it was this fucking creepy ass looking dude, and I turned and he was just like, would you like to have a cup of coffee? And I did my very, very successful rejection method, which is to completely go batshit crazy. Most of the time it works and it's amazing. So what you gotta do is get your eyes real fucking wide, okay, and lick your lips a lot, and like literally just like scratch and touch yourself all over the place. That time I remember it specifically because someone saw me and they recognized me, and someone called my dad. Rest in peace. but you gotta make it super insane, like think Gollum. That's my bitch, like that's my baby, like that's what you need to channel. Think Smeagol, okay, think Smeagol. You gotta be the Smeagol, and you gotta do the position, and you gotta be absolutely fucking insane. And I started like getting super close to him, and he just backed away, and then he started backing away faster, and I kind of, followed him for a little bit, and then I went to school. Anyways, okay, let's actually talk about the book. Since last time I saw you, not much happened, but at the same time, loads had happened in the plot. And the show also does this, and it's so cool to see it carried off, like to see the actual sauce. This is the canon, and to see the interpretation in the show. Like, what I mean is, in the show, not lots, like there's a lot of repetition. You're always in the same place, you're always with the same cast, you're always with the same people, and everything is so clear. But at the same time, loads of shit happens all the time, and it's difficult to merge those things together and still have an interesting, viewing experience. But it does it really good in the show, and it's definitely like you can see the inspiration while now reading the actual canon source. Character-wise, this is awesome. Allie is so fucking interesting to read about, and her sort of sanctimonious performance is fascinating. The contrast of her conduct, her performance, to her frangible, actually, inner monologue is fascinating to read about. Like, she's this hurt, weak little bitch, but this face that she puts out, it's so just fascinating. That's like the only word I keep coming out with. It's just fascinating to read. It's beguiling and so interesting to see. And I've been loving thrillers and psychological thrillers, and it's becoming one of my favorite genres. And I gotta say, from experience of reading books like this, it's difficult to have a character like this, You can, like a character where you like and dislike at the same time, where you cheer for and hate at the same time. This
sort of not just morally gray. Not everyone is doing morally gray because everyone likes morally gray now, but there's a certain kind of character, like a Lana Myers or the bitch from Gone Girl that I forgot her name, or like a Jennifer Check, you know, Kaz Brecker, stuff like this, where they're essentially bad people, but I still kind of root for them. I don't know. I gotta say though, the show is not canon. I discovered that now while reading. It's so difficult to read about these characters and imagine them in the way they're portrayed in the book, like they're described in the book. It's difficult. Emily is a redhead. Emily has strawberry blonde hair and freckles. What? Like, what? I'm so fucking used to this Emily that it's impossible to imagine her in any different way. And I try, like, I keep fucking trying. I have very vivid imagination and I keep trying, but it always disintegrates. It's literally disintegrating in my brain and transforming into the Filipino Irish Emily that I know and love. The plot though, I don't know. I still haven't decided if I want to spoil or not. I really want to just talk about what the heck is happening because it's so interesting, but at the same time I want you to try this for yourself because it's really, really, really cool. But the plot is everywhere. It's like the show and unlike the show in one very small but very vital detail. It was so out of the woodworks reading that one detail. It shook me to my core because, like, who even is she? It's the same as the show and it's not at the same time. Oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna tell you a little bit. I'm talking about Cece. If you know in the show, if you know Charles slash Cece, it's about that. Jesus, there's a fucking mosquito. Charles slash Cece, it's about that detail. And it's there, but it's different, and it's different in such a cool way. It keeps getting more interesting the more I read about it. It's definitely fun. Sometimes it's cringe a little bit, but they're like 15, 16. I don't know how old they are, but they're very young, you know, and it's cool. It's good. To be honest, I don't know. I've lost touch with people. I'm not a social bitch, and I don't talk to people. I don't see people outside that much, and I only run in my own circle, so I don't know what a 16-year-old is supposed to look like, to be honest. So I don't know. But to me, reading this, my experience, it seems fair. It seems like it should be, if that makes sense. The reading experience is super fun. It's so interesting and it's so easy to read. This book is set completely before her, you know, in the show where you get flashbacks to what had happened and their memories. And for example, when you start gathering suspects, like Arya's father, Montgomery, I forgot his name, Baron Montgomery, like he was a suspect at one point. And why he was a suspect is because when he was with his student, you know, he was cheating on her mother, on Arya's mother, and Arya and Alicent saw him on accident. It happened in a different way. It still happened in the book and it's so cool, but it happened in a different way in the book, slightly different, not that much. The only difference is that in the book, Ali found Byron alone, and then there's this whole thought process behind the character Ali. Even her as a real person, but her character, you know, her personality, what breaks Ali. There's this whole narrative behind that is fucking interesting, fascinating to read about. And she had waited for Arya to tell her about it so they can bond and she can, you know, kill her with kindness. She can show her that she's a real friend. So she's using everything as a manipulative pawn, I guess. But in the show, Arya and Ali found them together, which is cool. Like, it would just be good to know the thought process behind Ali, and it was done right in the show, but reading about her inner monologue is awesome. So now we are building the suspects, we're building the suspect list, but I don't know, like something, I don't know if I should have read this before the entire series. I really did not know. I was confused starting this because now it's so obvious who the number one suspect would be. At least to me, like, I know for sure who my number one suspect would be, even without having watched the show a gajillion time. But I know who my number one suspect would be because it's such an obvious move.
Hi. I finished the book. I'm very conflicted and I'm very confused of myself again. Let's talk about the characters. Let's start with Ali. Ali, in my opinion, who is... God damn it, I'm still struggling with this part, if I'm gonna spoil or not. Ali, who is... the second Ali. Let me just say that. The second... Oh my god, should I just, like, tell you everything that happened? The show has been out for, like, ages, right? Okay, let me just tell you everything that has happened. Basically, Ali... I'm not gonna spoil. There's a huge twist that does not exist in the show. It exists, but so not like this. And this is so out of the blue and so out of the woodwork. Like, I did not expect this at all in the book. But there is something that happens, and I'm gonna I'm gonna refer to them as Ali and Ali. Oh my god, they just spoiled. Sorry. Ali, in my opinion, the Ali that we've been following the entire book, almost the entire book, about 99% of the entire book, is, in my opinion, a communal narcissist. Oh my god, it takes me forever to get into the point. Okay, so there are a lot of different, not genres, types of narcissists. One of them is called a communal narcissist. And Ali, the Ali that we've been following, falls into that genre, in my opinion. Or at least that's what I picked up while reading the book, a little bit, snippets while reading the book. And after I finished the book, when I sat down and, wrote my notes and stuff like that and had tried to gather a whole opinion. She is manipulative, vengeful, coercive, and, prejudice. But she also has other traits, which is amazing in my opinion. I don't know if this was done on purpose or not, but if it was done, it's super good. So she has traits of vulnerable I have such a hard time saying that one. Vulnerable narcissist, which is another type of narcissist. Which is a type of narcissism that has a lot of paranoia, which we see in Ali, but it's not something that fully makes her, like, it's not the major prominent trait, which is why I think this is such a genius character design, because it was perfect, because you don't always have a diagnosis of narcissism that has one specific trait, if you know what I mean. It's always a mixture, and the most prominent one of them decide which type they are, I think. So a vulnerable narcissist, apart from paranoia, would go to even sadistic measures to get validation, and would go in measures that would seem weird to you to get validation from people, would do unhinged things to get validation from people, and is very shallow. And we see all of that a lot in Ali. A communal narcissist would also get validation from being a sort of savior, if you know what I mean, which is a lot, like, it is prominent and evident in Ali. Like, she would do shit, crazy shit. Anyways, I'm getting nerdy, but what I mean is the psychological aspect was done well enough. Because, most of the time you would have a mixture of those traits to make one certain type. And most of the time, characters are not like that. Like, it's so in your face. When authors try to make a character a certain way, it is so in your face what they're trying to do, and it often ends up not being successful. I mean, at least if you know a little bit about stuff like this, or if you research a little bit, it's not successful, in my opinion. But this is well done. Are there any negatives? Yes, there are, but I do not mind any of them. The plot is very silly. It's very silly. It's actually ridiculous sometimes. Like, it keeps getting more and more ridiculous, and I know based off the show, it's gonna get even more ridiculouser, but I don't mind it. There are things in the plot that don't make sense, and there are things that are just ridiculous and silly and too much, and it just feels like it's there to thicken the plot, but I do not mind
any one of them. And at the beginning we have a certain diagnosis that was just thrown away, and while reading that I thought, this is so stupid. Like, who would diagnose this bitch with schizophrenia just like that? And then I remembered my time in the psych ward and my experience while being diagnosed and misdiagnosed and diagnosed again and misdiagnosed again multiple times so fast by inexperienced bitches who just want money or want to just like drug me out, forget about me in some fucking unhinged blasphemous space. It makes sense. It makes sense. It might not make sense to certain people who haven't been in that situation, but it makes sense. Like, I don't mind it. I don't mind anything. I liked it a lot. As a whole, I would rate this like a 4 out of 5, if not 5. I like this a lot, and I will definitely read everything. Okay, if you've read this series, please let me know what you think about it. If you've only watched the show, give it a try. You'd like it. It's very fun. And that's all. Thank you for watching if you've watched all the way through. I love you. And I'm gonna see you next video. I don't know why I get so quiet in this part. It's like so intimate. Love you. Okay, bye. God, you're like obsessed with me. Okay, so seriously, bye.